McDonald's of Effingham and Coles County are WEIU TV's exclusive supporter of the Coles County Clash Scholastic Bowl. McDonald's of Effingham and Coles County are proud of all the contestants in this program. Enjoy the show from your friends at McDonald's of Effingham and Coles County.
Welcome, family, friends, observers, seekers after wisdom, to the Coles County Clash Scholastic Bowl edition, where we see the teams of Charleston and Mattoon meet once again, with Mattoon seeking vengeance for last year's loss. We are going to see young people demonstrate amazing knowledge, I hope, over two 20-minute halves. There will be one toss-up, or one, timeout that can be called for each half by each side. We'll do about 5 seconds to answer each of the toss-up questions. The successful team on a toss-up question has the right to answer the 3 bonus questions that follow, although the opposite team can steal if that team that is thus advantaged misses an answer or simply does not have an answer. We score here on a single point. If you want to translate that into normal Scholastic Bowl terms, you can multiply by 10, but this is a public university, we don't believe in inflation. So, without further ado, teams, we will have each side have their captain introduce themselves and then ask their team members to buzz in and introduce themselves. The captain should also introduce the coach. So we'll start with Charleston. Go ahead.
I'm Blaine Homan, acting captain of the Charleston High School Scholastic Bowl team. Our sponsor is Zane Kidwell, and my teammates will introduce themselves from my left to my right.
Danovan Heiss, Jr.
Josie Worley, Senior.
Alex Kirtescu, sophomore.
Hassan Abuzaid, Senior.
Thank you very much. And Mattoon. Hang on a second. Stand by, we have a slight technical challenge. There we go.
Connor Gergany, captain of the Mattoon Scholastic Bowl team. My teammates will introduce themselves from left to right with their favorite band. Mine is South Arcade.
I'm Sophia Hoppin, Billie Eilish or Chaperone.
James Connet, Blink-182.
Robert Hawking, Led Zeppelin.
Lincoln Wheeler and X Society.
And you are coached by Coach Eit from Mattoon. Very good. Without further ado, we will begin our 20-minute side, our first half. This is a question set coming from the National Academic Quiz Tournaments. I am not making these up on the spot. All right, first toss-up. You can ring in at any time you think you know the answer, or 5 seconds after I finish the question. Birefringent materials such as calcite cause the double form of this phenomenon. The fact that the strength of this phenomenon depends on wavelength allows dispersive prisms to function. For a given medium, this phenomenon's namesake index is equal to the vacuum speed of light over the speed of light in that medium. Mattoon.
Refraction.
Refraction is correct. So, Mattoon, you have first crack at these next 3 questions. For a point each, answer these questions about the London skyscraper known as the Gherkin. The gherkin is named after its resemblance to a gherkin, a food which is known in English by what name? Answer?
Pickle.
A pickle is correct. All right, don't overthink it. All right. The Gherkin stands on the former site of a shipping and marine insurance exchange named after what sea that contains the Åland Islands?
Indian Ocean.
Ocean is incorrect. Charleston?
Caribbean.
No, I'm afraid it's the Baltic. The Baltic Exchange was destroyed in 1992, this is back to Mattoon, in a 1992 bombing by what terrorist organization that disbanded in the 1998 Good Friday Agreement? Answer? I'm afraid that's time. We'll go over to Charleston.
The IRA.
The IRA is correct. Yes, the Irish Republican Army. Very good. Okay. Next toss-up. In what is now this country, the Project K nuclear tests were conducted near the coal mining city of Zhezkazgan. This country's Ili River drains a basin around Lake Balkhash. Russian cosmonauts launch Mattoon.
Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan is correct. Okay, so you have the first crack at these next 3 bonus questions. Because it was not altered in any way, 1914's bottle rack is considered the first real one of these artworks. For a point each, give this term used by Marcel Duchamp for ordinary objects that he found and declared to be works of art.
Modern art.
I'm afraid that's incorrect. Charleston? Take a guess?
No answer.
No answer. It is ready-mades. All right, back to Mattoon. Duchamp signed his ready-made fountain, which was a urinal turned on its side, with this pseudonym.
P.P. Stinker.
That's more appropriate, perhaps, than he signed it. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I should allow Charleston to come up with an answer. Forgive me. No answer. Well, I'd be surprised. It's R. Mutt. All right, finally, Mattoon, another of Duchamp's ready-mades in advance of the broken arm was one of these objects hung from a wire. Like Fountain, the original version of it is lost. Taking a guess?
A box.
No, I'm afraid not. Charleston?
A ball.
A ball? You're neither of you close. It was a snow shovel. All right. Okay, back to the toss-ups. This city was home to at least 8 statues of the Bateleur. The city, near Lake Mutirikwi, has over 10-foot-high walls that were constructed without mortar. Archaeologists studying this city were pressured by Ian Smith's government to deny that this city and its soapstone birds were built by black Africans. For a point, identify this ancient city after which the former rogue state of Rhodesia was renamed in 1980. Charleston?
Zima Zimbabwe or Zimbabwe.
What was the first word you said there?
Zima.
Zima.
Zima, D-Z-I-M-A.
I'll accept that. It's the translation of Great Zimbabwe. Thank you. So, Charleston, you get that toss-up, or the next round of bonus questions, I'm sorry, as well as that toss-up. All right, Charleston. When 2 monokaryotic examples of these structures form, they may form a fruiting body called a sporocarp. For a point each, name these root-like structures built primarily of thread-like hyphae.
Lichen.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Mattoon?
Mycelium.
Mycelia is correct. All right, Charleston, back to you. Organisms in this kingdom can form mycelia, which may eventually form structures such as mushrooms.
Fungi.
Fungi is correct. Finally, Charleston, while mold-type fungi grow hyphae, yeast-type fungus do not grow in that manner and instead reproduce through fission or through this mechanism that produces a bulb-like outgrowth.
Mushrooms.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Mattoon?
Budding.
Budding is correct. Well done. Okay. So now we go back up to the toss-ups. This novel describes a fisherman who uses a horse's head as bait for eels, to the disgust of a mother named Agnes. A man in this novel named Alfred chokes while trying to swallow a lapel pin that identifies him as a Nazi. The murder of Sister Dorothea is blamed on this novel's protagonist, who is raised in Danzig. Oskar Mazerat decides to stop growing in what Günter Grass novel named for an instrument? Charleston.
The Bugle.
I'm afraid that's incorrect. Mattoon, oh, sorry, I hit the button there. Go ahead.
The harp.
The harp. You're neither of you in the right realm. It's the tin drum by Gunter Grass. All right. Let's go on to our next toss-up then. Pencil and paper ready. Zoe needs, whoops. Wait, I'll presume that was an accidental buzz. All right, yes, okay. We won't count that as a buzz. All right, Zoe needs to know how many total pages she will read in 11 days. Given that she will read 5 pages on day 1, then 6 pages on day 2, and so on, until reading 15 pages on day 11. Since the number of pages read each day forms an arithmetic sequence, she can either use a formula or just multiply the mean average by 11. Charleston.
55.
I'm afraid 55 is incorrect. Mattoon?
88.
I'm afraid 88 is incorrect. The number is 110. All right, moving on to the next toss-up. Cupids scatter roses on the tomb of this character after she sings, "Death is now a welcome guest." In an opera with libretto by Nahum Tate, this character sings the recitative, "Thy hand, Belinda." This character from a 1689 opera sings the lament, "When I am laid in earth," after the departure of a Trojan prince. An opera by Henry Purcell is partly named after what queen of Carthage who is abandoned by Aeneas? Charleston.
Elizabeth.
I'm afraid it's not Elizabeth. Mattoon? Any answer? Go ahead. No, I'm afraid it's Dido. Dido and Aeneas. All right, keeping on with the toss-ups. We're learning all the time. This monarch signed the Treaty of Le Goulet with Philip II, who agreed to stop recognizing this monarch's nephew, Arthur, as king. This king was excommunicated by Innocent III after a dispute over appointing the Archbishop of Canterbury. According to legend, Robin Hood opposed this man's attempt to replace his brother Richard the Lionheart. What English king reluctantly sealed the Magna Carta?
George the First.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect.
Charles II.
No, it is, that'd be interesting. No, it is King John, bad King John of England. All right, moving on to our next toss-up. This man claimed that a voice called daemonion stopped him from making mistakes. Xenophon likely originated the nagging, shrewish image of this wife's wife, Xanthippe. A red-clad person hands this man a cup in Jacques-Louis David's painting titled For This Man's Death. After this man was convicted of impiety and corrupting the youth, he drank hemlock. Plato's teacher, Mattoon.
Socrates.
Socrates is correct. Well done. So you're, Mattoon, you get the first crack at this set of bonus questions. This organization removed Michael Masi as its race director in response to his actions at the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. For a point each, what international racing organization is the namesake of very fast cars that feature a single seat and open wheels? You want to answer?
Formula One.
Formula One is correct. In 2021 and 2022, the Formula One season was won by this Dutch driver who won the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix over Lewis Hamilton.
Max Verstappen.
Verstappen is correct. Finally, along with teammate Sergio Perez, Verstappen races for a Formula One team sponsored by this energy drink that gives you wings.
Red Bull.
Red Bull, correct. Okay, timeout. There's going to be a little substitution here. All right, we have a new player joining us from Mattoon. Would you test your buzzer and introduce yourself, please?
I'm King Kirsch. My favorite band is System of a Down.
Excellent, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
I'll speak back here next time.
Okay. All right, so we will begin our half again after that short time out from the Mattoon team with our next toss-up question. The A form of this molecule is at the core of an antenna complex that also includes xanthophylls and carotenes. The strongest biological oxidizing agent is a special pair dimer of this molecule, denoted P680, within photosystem 2. 4 nitrogens coordinate a magnesium atom in this molecule, which resembles heme. The thylakoid membranes of chloroplasts are rich in what? Green photosynthesis. Sorry, go ahead, Charleston.
Chlorophyll.
Chlorophyll is correct. All right, Charleston, you have the first crack at these bonus questions. By the handshaking lemma, a group of handshakers has an even number of people who shake an odd number of hands. For a point each, the lemma is formally stated in terms of these structures of vertices connected by edges.
Diagonals.
No, that's incorrect. Mattoon? Take a crack.
Polygons.
No, I'm afraid the answer is just graphs. All right. Charleston, back to you. The lemma underpins the Christofides algorithm for the problem of finding the shortest closed route visiting each city in a set exactly once. Sure. The lemma is formally stated in terms of these, the lemma underpins the Christofides algorithm for this problem of finding the shortest closed route visiting each city in a set exactly once. Answer? No answer? All right. Over to you, Mattoon.
Traveling salesman.
The traveling salesman problem, yes. All right. And then back to you, Charleston, for this. The Christofides algorithm requires that routes obey this inequality regarding the sum of the lengths of any two sides of a certain shape. Sure. The Christofides algorithm requires that the roots obey this inequality regarding the sum of the lengths of any two sides of a certain shape.
Pythagorean theorem.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Mattoon?
Triangle.
Yes, it's a triangle inequality. You were on the right track. All right, very good. Back to the toss-ups. All the lights are off. Good. This poet's gravestone is carved with the lines, "Cast a cold eye on life, on death, horsemen pass by," from his poem Under Ben Bulben. The lines, "I know that I shall meet my fate somewhere among the clouds above," open this man's poem about an airman who foresees his own death. He described a center that cannot hold as things fall apart in his millenarian poem, The Second Coming. Name this Irish poet. Charleston.
O'Connor.
Oh, that was a good Irish name, but not him. Mattoon? Sorry, go ahead.
O. Henry.
No, I'm afraid it is William Butler Yeats. All right, on to the next toss-up. The S in Dmitri Shostakovich's DSCH motif corresponds to a note of this name. A note of this name is the fourth and longest note in the opening motif of Ludwig van Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. This note is a minor third above C and a whole step below F.
E flat.
Sorry, repeat?
E flat.
That's correct, yes. All right, so Mattoon, you have the next crack at these bonus questions for a point each. Answer the following about tributaries of American rivers. The longest river in the United States is this tributary that joins the Mississippi River just north of St. Louis.
Ohio River?
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Charleston?
Colorado River.
No, it is in fact the Missouri River. All right. This river that forms the border between Texas and Oklahoma was once a tributary of the Mississippi River, but has since been diverted down the Atchafalaya River into the Gulf of Mexico. This is to Mattoon first.
Oklahoma.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Charleston?
Red River.
The Red River is correct. Finally, Mattoon, this largest northern tributary of the Ohio River is the State River of Indiana. Answer?
Indiana River.
I'm afraid that's incorrect. Charleston? No, this is the river that you've probably regularly crossed most often. It's the Wabash River. All right. Okay. So, we move on to the next toss-up. Everyone ready? For helping soldiers escape this country, the nurse Edith Cavell was shot. Towns such as Louvain were sacked during the so-called rape of this country, which began when a neighbor broke the Treaty of London. By holding out in the Battle of Liège, this country's army delayed the Schlieffen Plan in 1914. In World War I, Germany invaded France by attacking through what neutral? Charleston.
Belgium.
Belgium is correct. All right, Charleston, you have the first crack at these questions. The fast Oberek dance from this country traditionally includes several dance lifts and jumps. For a point each, what country's 5 national dances include Kujawiak and the mazurka?
Russia.
Russia is incorrect. Charleston? Oh, sorry, Mattoon, forgive me.
India.
No, it is Poland. Okay. Charleston, back to you for the second. This Polish composer of the Minute Waltz and Revolutionary Etude wrote several mazurkas for piano. Answer? No answer from Charleston. Mattoon?
Berlioz.
No, I'm afraid it was Chopin, Frédéric Chopin. Finally, Charleston, this other Polish composer, who passed away in 2020, wrote Threnody to the victims of Hiroshima and was heavily featured in the score for The Shining. Answer?
No answer.
Okay, over to Mattoon.
Bob.
No, it is in fact Krzysztof Penderecki. Very good. All right, moving on to the next of our toss-ups. The aegis is sometimes interpreted as a coat of this animal's skin. In many accounts, one of these animals assists a god, while the Corybantes beat spears against shields. In a cave on Crete, the infant Zeus was suckled by one of these animals named Almathea. The middle segment of the chimera and the legs and horns of satyrs are those of Mattoon.
Goat.
A goat, correct. All right, so Mattoon, you have this next set of bonus questions first. For a point each, answer the following about the town of Abilene, Kansas. Joseph McCoy founded Abilene to transport cattle along the railway to this Midwestern city, home to the Union stockyards. Answer?
Topeka.
No, I'm afraid it wasn't Topeka. Charleston?
St. Louis.
Close, but no cigar. It's Chicago. All right. Okay, Mattoon. Abilene was an ending point for the Chisholm Trail, a cattle route named for a member of this tribe, once led by John Ross and based in New Echota. Answer? All right, no answer from Mattoon. Charleston?
Iroquois.
No, it was the Cherokee. All right, finally, Mattoon, this man served as Abilene's town marshal in 1871. He was later killed while legendarily holding the dead man's hand during a poker game in Deadwood, South Dakota. Any guesses at this? Okay.
John.
No, it's not John. Go ahead.
Smith.
Smith. Well, equally good guesses. I'm afraid it was Wild Bill Hickok. Yes, you can get a timeout. All right. Thank you. We'll take a brief timeout. Okay, we're coming back from our second timeout of the first half. We've had a few new players on both sides, so I'll ask the new players to ring in and introduce themselves, starting first with the new players on the Charleston side. Go ahead.
Braxton Lake, sophomore.
Excellent.
Soren Flagger, junior.
Welcome. All right. And over to Mattoon. The new players can ring in. Go ahead.
Sophia Halpin, I'm back.
A familiar face. Thank you.
Judy Connett.
Okay. Can you just trust your ringer as well, just to make sure? Great. Welcome. All right. Thank you very much. Then without further ado, we will start the clock again for our last minute in the first half. And it's a toss-up question. Defining this quantity intensively can result in an apparent decrease in this quantity in the Gibbs paradox. This quantity is the conjugate variable of temperature and equals Boltzmann's constant times the natural logarithm of the number of microstates. This quantity for an isolated system cannot decrease according to the second law of thermodynamics. Charleston.
Entropy.
Entropy is correct. So, for the bonus questions, for a point each, answer the following about the J-psi meson. It exhibits this property of having zero electrical charge. Sure, about the J-psi meson, it exhibits this property of having zero electrical charge.
Neutrality.
That's correct. One of two independent discoveries of the J-psi meson in 1974 used Stanford's linear example of these devices. Nonlinear types of these devices include the synchrotron.
Cathode ray.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Mattoon?
A graph?
No, I'm afraid it's an accelerator, particle accelerator. Finally, the J-psi meson is formed from this flavor of quark and its antiquark. This type of quark is contrasted with the up, down, strange top, and bottom quarks. Answer?
Smart.
No, I'm afraid it's not smart.
Charm.
Charmed is correct. Very good. All right, and now we're at the half. So stretch your legs. We will come back in about 10 minutes. Thank you. Okay. All right. On behalf of the president of Eastern Illinois University, welcome back to the second half of our Coles County Clash Scholastic Bowl edition. Nicely fought race between Mattoon and Charleston. We are going to continue now. I think all of the players have introduced themselves at different points with our second 20-minute half. So without further ado, we will continue with our next toss-up question. This animal provides the nickname of a 66-million-year-old skull fossil identified by Cambridge scientists in 2020. The most common use of the now illegal arsenic compound roxarsone was in feed for these animals to promote their weight gain. The Cornish cross, a popular broiler variety of this animal, is raised for meat instead of eggs. Mattoon.
Chicken.
Chickens is correct. All right, Mattoon, you have the first crack at these bonus questions. In July 2022, a list of contenders, including Kemi Badenoch, was narrowed down to these two people. For a point each, name these two politicians who ultimately both became UK Prime Minister in 2022. Answer?
No answer.
No answer. Charleston?
Keir Starmer.
No, I'm afraid that was 2024. It's Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak. All right, back to Mattoon. Truss and Sunak ran to succeed this Prime Minister, who resigned after an investigation into parties during the COVID pandemic.
Boris Johnson.
Boris Johnson is correct. Finally, one of the first challenges of the Sunak government was advocating for a British citizen who is being prosecuted for publishing the dissident newspaper Apple Daily in this city.
London.
No, that's incorrect. Charleston?
Oxford.
I'm afraid it's Hong Kong, the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. All right, on to the next toss-up. Oops, I've pressed the wrong button there. Sorry. Okay. On to the toss-up. A massacre in this war led to the battle cry, "Remember the River Raisin." Isaac Brock died at Queenston Heights, an early battle in this war. William Winder was defeated by Robert Ross at the so-called Bladensburg races during this war, as government officials frantically packed away records and fled to Virginia. Washington, D.C. was burned during Charleston.
War of 1812?
The War of 1812 is correct. So, Charleston, you have the first shot at these bonus questions. Early in this play, the valet Jean learns that maid Christine is making an abortifacient for a dog. For a point each, name this August Strindberg play that ends with the title woman walking off stage to commit suicide with a razor.
Madame Butterfly.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Mattoon?
Carmen?
No, it's Miss Julie. August Strindberg was from this Scandinavian country, which also produced Astrid Lindgren, the creator of Pippi Longstocking.
Sweden.
Sweden is correct. A Strindberg novel satirizing Arvid Falk is titled For a Red One of These Places. A James Baldwin novel is named for Giovanni's place of this kind. Yes, a Strindberg novel satirizing Arvid Falk is titled For a Red One of These Places. A James Baldwin novel is named for Giovanni's place of this kind.
Hotel.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Mattoon?
Bedroom.
I'm afraid not bedroom, but room. So almost there. All right, back to the toss-ups. In a story, this character, who appears as a woodsman chopping trees, apparently kills a miser's wife and leaves her heart tied to a tree. In that Washington Irving story, this character helps make Tom Walker rich. Jabez Stone is threatened by this character, who is called Mr. Scratch, in a 1936 story. In Stephen Vincent Benet's story, Daniel Webster opposes what being's attempt to claim a farmer's soul? Mattoon?
The devil.
The devil is correct. The devil and Daniel Webster. All right, Mattoon, you have the first crack at these. Whoops, there we go. Bonus questions. For a point each, answer the following about the Chinese garden complex known as the Old Summer Palace. The Old Summer Palace was ransacked in 1860 by British and French forces during the Second War, named for this commodity. Answer?
Opium.
Opium is correct. The burning of the Old Summer Palace forced the Qing court to relocate to the Forbidden City in this present-day capital of China.
Beijing.
Beijing is correct. The Tongji Emperor attempted to rebuild the Old Summer Palace for this Empress Dowager, who effectively ruled China for much of the late 1800s.
Zhao.
No, Zhao is incorrect. Charleston? Taking a guess? No answer.
Mao. Oh.
No, I'm sorry, it was CG. All right, next toss-up. In 2022, this city's Ryerson University was renamed due to Egerton Ryerson's controversial role in establishing indigenous residential schools. A university in this city has campuses in its suburbs of Scarborough and Mississauga. In this most populous city in the Golden Horseshoe, Yonge Street begins on Lake Ontario's shores. The Rogers Centre is where the Blue Jays play. Charleston. Buffalo is incorrect, where the Blue Jays play in what most populous Canadian city? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Quebec.
Quebec is unfortunately a city, but it's not on Lake Ontario, it's Toronto. All right, I thought the Blue Jays would give you the clue there. Okay, on to the next toss-up then. A painting by this non-English artist is nicknamed for a country house in County Durham and depicts Cupid draping a pink ribbon over a mirror. In another scene, this painter showed a key being presented to Ambrogio Spinola. The artist of the Rokeby Venus and the Surrender of Breda created a canvas showing the Infanta Margaret Teresa surrounded by her maids of honor. Name this painter of Las Meninas. Anyone? Charleston?
Van Gogh.
No, it wasn't Van Gogh. Mattoon?
Degas.
No, it was Velázquez. All right. Good tries. You at least named artists. All right. Let's go on to the next toss-up. A designation assigned by this company highlights moderate prices with the nickname of its mascot, Bib. In 2021, this company stated that René Redzepi's work at Noma was worth a special journey. Since 1900, this company has sought to increase its tire sales by publishing a guide. Mattoon.
Michelin.
Michelin is correct, the Michelin Guide. All right, Mattoon. Now you have the first crack at these bonus questions. Phil Spector produced an album titled For This Country, whose cover depicts a starving child with an empty bowl. For a point each, George Harrison recorded a 1971 live album titled The Concert for What Country to raise money for its refugees? Answer?
Congo?
No, it wasn't the Congo. Charleston?
Libya.
No, it was Bangladesh. All right, Mattoon. The concert for Bangladesh also featured songs by this American folk artists, such as Blowin' in the Wind. Answer?
Lana Del Rey?
No, I'm afraid not. Charleston?
Smith.
No, it was Bob Dylan. Right. Finally, Mattoon, this album became a model for future benefit concerts, including this 1985 show in which Queen, Elton John, and others raised funds for African famine relief. Answer?
Lollapalooza.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect.
Live Aid.
Live Aid is correct. Thank you for rescuing me from feeling even older than I am. All right, well done. Okay, next toss-up. This character declares, "Enter freely and of your own will," while greeting a guest who traveled by coach from Bistritz on St. George's Day. The crew of the ship Demeter loads a cargo of silver sand and boxes of earth before being picked off by this character. Quincy Morris and Jonathan Harker stab this character as he reposes in his coffin. Charleston.
Dracula.
Dracula is correct. All right, you have the first crack at these bonus questions. This author discussed the knight of faith who believes in the absurd in a book published under the pseudonym Johannes de Silentio. For a point each, what Danish existentialist wrote Fear and Trembling?
Kierkegaard?
Kierkegaard is correct. Kierkegaard used the pseudonym Victor Eremita for this book, which contrasts the ethical and aesthetic life and contains a diary of a seducer.
No answer.
No answer? Charleston, Mattoon, sorry. No? Okay, it's either or. Finally, Charleston, a section of either or analyzes this genre of ancient drama in which flawed characters meet unhappy endings.
Tragedy.
Tragedy is correct. Very good. All right. Moving on to our next toss-up. A campaign by this man stumbled after he struggled to answer Roger Mudd's question, "Why do you want to be president?" This man's enemies yelled, "Where's Mary Jo?" referencing a woman he had left to drown after a car crash. Though hurt by the Chappaquiddick incident, this man contested the 1980 Democratic primaries against President Jimmy Carter. What Lion of the Senate was the brother of a murdered president? Charleston.
Kennedy.
Need a first name?
Jack.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Mattoon? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Robert.
No, it was Ted Kennedy. All right, moving on to the next toss-up. Keep pressing the wrong button. There we go. Thank you very much. All right. The movement of these bones can be modeled with either bucket handle or pump handle motions. If these structures lack true anterior bony attachments, they can be called either false or floating. Mattoon.
Ligament?
No, I'm afraid it's not ligament. So Charleston, we can continue the question. The intercostal muscles attached to these bones, the fracture of which can cause a traumatic pneumothorax or collapsed lung. Sorry, go ahead.
Ribs.
Ribs is correct. All right, Charleston, you have, there we go. All right, you have the first crack at these bonuses. Characters in this novel eat bufritos, deep-fried burritos served in the cafeteria at Culver Creek Prep. For a point each, name this novel in which Miles Halter tries to uncover the reasons for the title girl's death. Answer?
Anne of Green Gables.
I'm afraid that's incorrect.
Jane.
No, it's Looking for Alaska, Alaska being the character. Miles and Alaska are friends with Chip Martin, a boy known by this military nickname due to his skill at planning pranks. No, you're incorrect. Mattoon? Taking a guess?
Joker.
No, it's the Colonel. Finally, this author based Looking for Alaska on his own experiences at a boarding school in Alabama. His other young adult novels include The Fault in Our Stars.
Green.
John Green is correct. All right. On to the last of the toss-up questions. For this set, we'll continue the toss-ups. In August 2022, this politician founded a PAC called The Great Task, fueling rumors about a presidential run. This politician, who was first elected to Congress to succeed Cynthia Lummis, was easily beaten by Harriet Hageman in a 2022 primary. In 2022, the RNC censured both Adam Kinzinger and this vice chair of the January 6th committee. What Wyoming congresswoman is the daughter of a former vice president? Charleston?
Hillary Clinton.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Mattoon, any chance? Have a guess?
AOC.
No, it was Liz Cheney. All right. Sure, timeout for now. All right. Okay, we're going to settle in for our last few minutes here. I believe all of the players have been up here before, but let's go ahead and just do a quick buzzer test all the way down because I have had some challenges. So go ahead and start out, Mattoon. All right, go ahead. I have the skill now. Hopefully I won't screw it up for the last 5 minutes. I'm not holding out any great bets, however. All right, we're on to a toss-up in the last 5 minutes or so. So, buzzers at the ready, here we go. In 1912, the IWW led a protest in this state that became known as the Bread and Roses Strike. Its governor proclaimed, "There is no right to strike against the public safety," in response to a 1919 police strike in this state. A factory built in this state at Waltham in 1813 developed into a city in which many young women worked at textile mills. What New England state was home to the Lowell Mills? Charleston?
New York.
No, New York is not correct. Mattoon?
Boston?
No, we're looking for the state, so it's Massachusetts. All right. Okay. Next toss-up, pencil and paper ready. Max needs to know the width of a rectangle, given that its length equals 3 times the width, and the perimeter of the rectangle is 48. He recalls that the perimeter of a rectangle is 2 times the sum of its length and width, and substitutes Mattoon. Answer? No, 12 is incorrect. Charleston?
6.
6 is correct. Okay. So, you have the first go at these bonus questions, Charleston. For a point each, answer the following about the Davison and Germer experiment. The experiment demonstrated the duality between waves and these things.
Particles.
Particles is correct. The experiment showed that electrons can undergo this process in which a wave bends around an obstacle.
Refraction.
I'm afraid that's incorrect. Mattoon?
Diffraction?
Diffraction, not refraction. Yes? And then finally, Charleston, Clinton Davison was convinced to continue with this experiment by a lecture from this German quantum physicist. An approximation named for this man and J. Robert Oppenheimer considers nuclei to be stationary while describing electron motion in molecules.
Einstein.
Einstein is not correct. Mattoon? Answer? It's Max Born, the Born-Oppenheimer approximation. Okay. Next toss-up. In this region, the United Nations Disengagement Observer Force maintains a buffer zone straddling the Purple Line. In 2019, a settlement named for Donald Trump was established in this region after the US recognized this region as part of the country that captured it from an eastern neighbor during the Six-Day War. Both Israel and Syria claim...
Palestine?
I'm afraid that's incorrect. Both Israel and Syria claim sovereignty over what heights? Mattoon? Answer? No answer? Okay. It's the Golan Heights. All right. Moving on to the next toss-up. This artwork was given its common name by foundry workers who noted its similarity to Michelangelo's sculpture of Lorenzo de' Medici. This sculpture was originally known as the Poet and was intended for the center above the doorway of the gates of hell. A nude male figure sits on a rock and rests. Charleston.
The Thinker.
The Thinker is correct. All right. Now you have the first crack at these bonus questions. In December 2022, this senator announced that she would switch her party affiliation from Democratic to Independent. For a point each, name this politician who defeated Martha McSally in 2018 to win her Senate seat. Answer?
Johnson.
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Mattoon? Mattoon?
AOC?
No, it's Kristen Sinema. Along with Mark Kelly, Sinema represents this western state in the Senate. Charleston?
Arizona.
Arizona is correct. Sinema joins Bernie Sanders and this politician from Maine as the 3 independent members of the Senate.
Johnson.
No, I'm afraid it's not Johnson. Mattoon?
Smith?
No, it's a good guess, a common name, but it's Angus King. Sure, timeout. All right, we'll just wait for our timekeeper to get back. This is known as dramatic pause. Right? I think this is the most closely fought example of this, right? 20 to 21, 23 seconds on the clock. Very exciting. All right. Here we go. For our last toss-up, probably. This sea's Dahlak archipelago is known for its historic pearl fisheries. At the northern end of this sea, a 15-mile drive through the Negev desert connects 3 strategically important ports, Taba, Eilat, and Aqaba, that are each in different countries. The Bab el-Mandeb separates this sea from the Gulf of Aden. Charleston.
Mediterranean.
No, I'm afraid it's not the Mediterranean. Whoops. I'll finish the question. From the Gulf of Aden. Eritrea borders what colorfully named sea southwest of the Arabian Peninsula? Answer? You're not going to answer, are you? Even if you knew.
James Charles?
No, I'm afraid that's incorrect. All right, so is that our 23 seconds? All right, so that is the game. And I believe that means that Mattoon, with 21 points, has narrowly defeated Charleston. Let's have a round of applause for our players. Let's shake hands, guys.
McDonald's of Effingham and Coles County are WEIU TV's exclusive supporter of the Coles County Clash Scholastic Bowl. McDonald's of Effingham and Coles County are proud of all the contestants in this program. Enjoy the show from your friends at McDonald's of Effingham and Coles County.